Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in today. Today, I have the unique pleasure of interviewing one of my longtime inspirations and singer for the Farts, for the Accused, and also Toe Tag. Introducing Mr. Blaine Cook. How are you doing today, Blaine?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me on this. It's like beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Seattle. The sun is out. It's really nice.
I'm telling you,
Cold though.
oh, it is cold, huh?
Oh yeah, it's cold.
Damn. Over here we're getting it's a beautiful day here in Corpus. Beautiful sunny skies. Definitely not cold, but damn enjoying the weather today.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to mention, your vocal style and your stage presence has been so fucking very inspiring to me. And it actually influenced my own vocal style. And I've been singing for about 30 years now. And the first times I got my hands on your album, More Fun Than an Open Casket Funeral, um, I just fell in love with your band. I love the cover art. I love the vocal style that you brought to it. And, it gave birth to splattercore and splatter rock, and that's something I really was proud to turn my friends onto, because I had a lot of metalhead friends at that time that were listening to DRI, Testament, of course Metallica, Exodus, and those bands, but not all of them came across The Accused. And when I was always turning on to them, some of them got it and some of them didn't. And it wasn't a matter of the shredding guitars or the drums. It was your vocals. Either they were gonna fucking love it or they weren't.
Yeah.
Just something they couldn't grasp. But man, I
Right.
really grasped it and I loved it. And I liked it especially because it kind of remind me of one of our local hometown guys, Dave Brinkman, who plays for a band called Anchor Watt here in Corpus, who you
Yep.
guys have played,
Yeah.
many shows with before. And
Yes.
Dave was a big inspiration to me here in town. And hearing that same kind of style going on between your vocals and his vocals was it, it was a hit for me. And then seeing how you went on to Maddest Stories Ever Told, and I really love the artwork that came along with that, and the shreds, and every song was just so fucking unique and not like anybody else that was out there. And that's why I was always in love with the Accused, and always flew that Accused flag to as many parties I went to back in the day, and putting it on the cassette player when I'm cruising around with my friends, and trying to really turn everybody onto it. And a lot of the times, man, well, all of us really dug deep into Maddest Stories Ever Told. It was just a hit from beginning to end, and up till now, it's still one of my all time favorite records ever made. And it's really an honor to
Thank
be
you.
to be having you here on the show
Thank you.
today. And
Thank you.
I guess I want to go ahead and get started by asking, what singers or bands got you influenced to be a singer?
Well, when I first started singing in the band in the tail of when we first started the Farts in the tail end of 1980. There's three guys that I cite, and the first one is going to be Ron Reyes from Black Flag.
Yeah,
He was the second singer for Black Flag, and if anybody's seen that first decline of the Western civilization, he was the singer
yeah,
on that live footage from that. And then the second would be Darby Crash from the
Germs.
Germs, and the third would be Cal from Discharge. If I
Yeah,
was to say that those are, if I was trying to emulate anybody, that those are the three guys that meant a lot to me. And I'd still go back and listen to that stuff. I'm
yeah.
not. I kind of like to move on, and I try to check out some new stuff, but those are still three. Three. And then I forget the current singer for Discharge. His style is very very much falls in the Cal category as well.
Killer, killer. Big names. I love all three of those acts right there, and I could definitely understand
Yeah.
why that'd be so influential in getting you started right there. And was the Farts your first band, or was there something before the Farts?
Yeah, yeah. My first band.
Killer.
Nope, nothing before the Farts. Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, all right. And
Just pretty much like right after I got out of high school, I started getting into the punk rock thing around 1978 or latter 77, something like that. Whenever I happened to get a copy of Nevermind the Bollocks, and
cool.
there was a Seattle band called the Lude. I think I picked up their single, and whatever the first dead Dead Kennedy single. I think I picked that up, and that was kind of like,
Yeah.
the first Black Flag single, all that stuff. That just kind of, what got me into it.
That is awesome, man. I definitely, I love all those bands right there. Black Flag and Circle Jerks, DK's Jello Biafra right there. I
Yeah,
think I heard that you
yeah.
guys did several shows with DK's, and it kind of seems like Jello kind of, took a liking to y'all. Is that right?
He did, yeah. With the farts, we did a couple of shows with him, and we had we had put out a single that we released on our own, just because that's what you did. So we put out our own single, and he really dug that, and then he managed to get the single um, released in the UK on Alternative Tentacles in the UK, and then they did. He did the first 12-inch for the farts. Yeah, and then as the farts went on, we played shows with him, and then all of that stuff happened so quick back in those days. So the farts was really like 18 months.
Wow.
When it's all said and done, because things happened a lot quicker back then. It didn't take so long to like get a record pressed.
Cool.
You could get a record pressed. Now it takes forever. Back then, I guess it just happened quick. I mean, I had no reference point to know how long it took. But and then later on with the farts, we changed our name to 10-Minute Warning, and Jello Biafra continued to support us. We played some more shows with the Dead Kennedys as 10-Minute Warning, and then even when I was asked to join the Accused in April 1984, quite a while ago, he provided some opportunities for the Accused. We did a big show with the Dead Kennedys here in Seattle, and then we did some with them down in California as well.
Damn, so he really did get on the bandwagon. Well, that's great. I've always been a big fan of
Well,
Jello
he helped
Biafra's.
out. Yeah, he helped out a lot of bands. There's a lot of bands from that time period that he really propped up, and helped. Nobody thought of it as a career or anything like that,
Yeah,
but he really helped helped a lot of bands gather bigger followings and become more popular.
that's awesome, man. Uh, to know that about Jello, that's pretty kick ass. I know he seen a lot of old school footage of him going crazy on fucking stage, and I really like the uniqueness of his vocals and
Yeah,
his political songs that were out there as well. Hey, I dug all that stuff. It was super cool. That's where I grew up. I was born in 1970, so me growing up, we kind of got stuff a little on the tail end of things, like maybe 2 or 3 years later. It wasn't until like '83
yeah,
when I was hearing a bunch of stuff from DKs and Circle Jerks. We're making our way to the Corpus area, and it was kind of getting filtered down through San Antonio by places like Hog Wild Records and Tapes. And but back in the day, knowing that Jello was just the biggest supporter, that kicks ass. You really all of us back in the day, we kind of helped each other out because there was nobody doing us any favors, in any of our scenes. So we all had to look out for each
that's
other. So it was all do it yourself, and finding any place that you could to play without hopefully having a good successful show where they're not tearing the place apart. And you could get invited to book it again. And
yep, yep, yep.
and I also so Duff played drums for you for a little while from GNR in the Farts. Is that right?
Yeah, so he was yeah, Duff right before he played in the farts, we did a little short West Coast tour with Discharge and the Bad Brains,
Bad
and
Brains.
this was like
Yeah.
in October of '82.
Uh huh.
And then when we got back, whatever happened with our drummer, Loud Fart is his name, and we kicked him out, or he quit, or whatever it was that happened. I don't really remember. And then we got Duff to play drums with us, and yeah, we recorded a 5-song demo, and we played one show with him, and it was down in Portland, and we were playing with Poison Idea,
Killer.
a band from Seattle back then called the Rejectors.
Cool.
And the Rejectors, they were just a little bit younger than we were, and they were friends with a band called the Accused.
Ooh.
So the Accused came and asked to get on the show, and they got on that show as well. And then Duff. So that just lasted. I mean, that was like two
Blink of
months.
an eye. Yeah.
That was going on. I think he joined probably the middle of October. I think we recorded that demo in like November, and that one show that we did that was in November as well. And shortly after that, we changed the name of the band to 10 Minute Warning, and we jammed a couple of times. But then the original bass player for the Farts, Steve Hoffman, he quit the band, and then the 10 Minute Warning thing morphed into something else, and Duff played, Paul Soldier was the guitar player for the Fart, so Paul played lead guitar, Duff was playing rhythm guitar, and then we got another bass player by the name of David Griggs, and a drummer named Greg Gilmore, and yeah, we did some stuff around town, and some pretty, once again, the shows of the Dead Kennedys. We were kind of we got to play some metal shows,
Cool.
which was kind of weird for 1983,
Yeah.
For what we were doing. And well, then they kicked me out of the band,
Damn.
and I was very
I'm
sad.
sure. Hell yes.
Yeah. So, and they went on and kind of, they kept they kept the 10 Minute Warning name,
Yeah.
but the musical style and the delivery was totally different. They got a new singer that was kind of had more of this, arty, almost kind of like a Jim Morrison kind of a vibe.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so it was kind of like this weird, almost kind of not quite psychedelic, but almost, kind of that kind of the deal.
Yeah.
And so they moved on and did that, and then we did one more Fart show. We did kind of like a reunion deal, and that was in July of 1984. So that would have been the only time that we've ever played in Seattle with that particular lineup,
Wow.
with Duff on drums and Paul on guitar, Steve on bass, and myself singing.
Damn. All right. So
And then shortly, yeah, actually not 84, that was 83. Excuse me,
83.
July of 83. Because then I joined the Accused in, yeah, April of 84.
They were the next band you jumped into right after 10 Minute Warning?
I was jamming with some guys. I was playing guitar, and I had a band called the Carnivorous Chicken Band.
Yeah.
We were a three-piece. I played guitar, and an old buddy of ours named Pat Quirk played bass, and then a really good friend of mine, Donald Brown, was the drummer. We were just what they used to call back then a fuck band. Everybody had a band, whether you could play or not. You did
You did your
you just
jam.
did it.
And you did vocals
Hmm.
and played guitar back then, or were you just doing guitar?
We kind of switched off on. I played guitar, and then we kind of, I did some singing. Pat did some singing.
Oh,
You
all
know,
right. Do you write music also
yeah.
for the Accused? Did you ever write any music?
I guess you could call it that. We wrote some songs, very very rudimentary,
All right.
kind of kindergarten punk. I don't even know what you'd call it.
Yeah.
Just kind of noise. We were getting stoned down in the basement. Doing.
Yeah. So in '84, when you joined the Accused, how long did it take you guys to have the first material for More Fun Than an Open Casket Funeral? Was it pretty quickly?
Well, before we did the more fun record, we recorded the Martha Splatterhead EP, which was
Ah, the
a
EP.
12 inch
Yeah.
12 inch that we put out ourselves. And then so we did that probably in the later part of 84, maybe the beginning of 85, that we put that out. And then we had an offer from a local label called Subcore,
Cool.
and he wanted to record some more songs and then put those songs from the EP on a record. And then that was the Return of Martha Splatterhead record. So that was like 85, and I think at that point in time we were
Yeah.
starting to work on the material for the more fun record.
Right, man.
And
Awesome.
when you're younger, it's so much more different, because it's like you're doing it and you have a purpose to what you're doing,
Right?
but it's not like it's different than being than purposeful. Like if you're on a label and you have to have material to put out a record every 12 or 18 or 24 months or something like
Yeah.
that. And I think there's a whole lot more creativity when you're younger in a band, because you're not necessarily trying to. We never really tried to fit in any specific category.
Right.
I mean, we felt that we were kind of that hardcore, that crossover peer group, but we didn't really. like you mentioned about, Mattis stories, the songs are really all kind of different. They don't really follow, really
Right.
a set formula.
Yeah.
Um,
Just so
yeah, and
you.
that More Fun Than an Open Casket Funeral record, that record we recorded a couple of different times.
Wow.
Due to we were gonna it was gonna come out on a label from California called Frontier Records,
Okay.
and then that fell through. But right before that record came out, we had three songs on the Thrasher Skate Rock Volume 3,
Yeah.
which is called Wild Riders of Boards, and
Wow.
it was a record that the cover was die cut, so it was like, the nose end of a skateboard, and it had,
Cool.
Beyond Possession was on there, the Boneless Ones, Corrosion of Conformity. Um, I think a lot of people consider it to be like one of the better, more powerful volumes of the skate
What a
rock stuff that they
collector's
put
item
out.
that is to still have that in your
Yeah,
possession. Wow. Amazing.
yeah. Somebody stole my
Oh
copy because
shit.
the original copies were on green vinyl, and then they came with
Wow.
a poster.
Ooh.
Somebody stole that. I've had some records stolen out of my collection, so I'm always very disappointed that when I have people in my home, they'll do that. So I
Damn.
ended up having to buy another copy off of either Discogs or eBay, just a few years ago. I paid like 45 or 75 bucks for it. You know,
Yeah.
but it's not like I can tell the guy, hey man, I'm on that compilation. You need to send that to me for
Right. Tell
free.
me about it, right? I need my own copy. That's right. Oh, dude, what
Yeah,
a collector's item that is. I collect a lot of
yeah,
vinyl too, so I know that one right there would be just ooh. Oh, damn, I'm surprised my
yeah.
camera's acting up right there. Let me disconnect for a second.
All right.
All right, let's see. That gets me back on there. Let's see, check. Come on. Hmm. Haven't had trouble with this camera before. Let's see here. Start from scratch. Reset it. All right.
Oh,
Get me in there. Thought I saw a glimpse of me for a second.
there you
There we
are.
go. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, Blaine.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
That's all right.
So I guess,
This is always it's when I talk to people about all this stuff, it's always kind of weird because I've been doing this for such a long
yeah.
time that you're kind of like we're trying to like cover like literally like over 40 years of me making
In
music.
a short,
So
yeah.
sometimes I might have more to talk about as we're at the beginning, but then kind of as we get near the end, I kind of start to okay, now it's back then it was when it's so much more fresh and excitement. I just keep on doing it.
Yeah, I get it, man. What after a 40-year career span, and still growing. Wow, it's amazing that you have such great memories of a memory of all these early you know experiences and of your career because in my career some of this stuff is kind of a little blurry, but
There's definitely,
yeah.
definitely, I've forgotten a lot more. When I
Yeah.
talked, I still play with, Alex Magabrain, who is the bass player for the Accused. I still play with him in toe tag and our Accused AD thing.
Yeah.
He remembers so much more stuff, and a lot of it is because when you mix marijuana and alcohol, that's what cuts out the memories. And he wasn't doing that. So I mean, there's stuff that he remembers.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I wish I still remembered all that stuff,
Tell me
but
about
he
it.
he remembers it for me.
That's cool. You
Yeah.
got him to bounce, get those ideas, and get those refreshers from him. Oh, that's
Hmm.
awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's priceless right there. So more fun. Excuse me. Return of Martha Splatterhead, and then how long was it till you
Yep.
got to more fun? Were you just slamming out? Were
Oh,
you
that was
ready? Did you already have
probably
material ready for it pretty quickly?
yeah, it was probably like a year.
Yeah.
yeah, about a
do some
year.
touring
Yeah, and
on Return?
there's some of those songs that were actually fart songs
Whoa.
that we covered. And unfortunately, at that point in time, we were working with somebody was our manager, and he told us to do some stuff that probably that you know looking back on it wasn't really all that cool
Yeah.
for us to do.
Oh shit.
But there's some songs that are labeled as accused songs that were actually fart songs.
Wow. How about that?
So
Interesting. All right.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, one of my favorite songs off of that Return is that Wrong Side of the Grave. Oh, that's a sick one right there.
yeah,
That's a jam. That's a big time
yeah,
jam.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and but the first one I got my hands on, and then I dug down the rabbit hole, and that's how I got my hands on Return of the Martha Splatterhead was more fun, and just the opening of Halo
Yeah.
Flies. The way you start coming in with the music as it's starting to fade in, and oh man, it really sets a
Yeah,
tone. And when the jam
yeah,
when the band
yeah,
kicks in, yeah, man, that's my style of crossover metal right there, and that's why splattercore was my thing, and I love the artwork. I love the artwork, and thinking about the artwork, um, how did you meet the artist that did the first cover for More Fun?
that was S. Clay Wilson, and I was a huge fan of underground comics, and those were things that were around like in the 60s, 70s, up into the 80s.
Yeah.
And S. Clay Wilson, he had a character called the Checkered Demon.
Whoa.
So that was I was really infatuated with the Checkered Demon,
Yeah.
and I thought it'd be really cool if we had S. Clay Wilson do the cover for that record.
Yeah.
And was from San Francisco, and he would spend his days at this bar. So if you wanted to get in touch with him back in the days when you had to write letters and all of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
so we wrote him a letter
Okay.
and asked if he would do the record cover. And you know the actually the way the art turned out wasn't what we had in mind.
Okay.
Is that what he put out was a whole lot tamer than than what we really envisioned, because
Okay.
he did some stuff back then that was really really sick, and that's what we were hoping he was going to do.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's S. Clay Wilson, and we paid back then I think we paid him like $1,200
Whoa.
to
Okay.
do that artwork, which in those days, yeah, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Um,
Big time.
yeah, so he did the cover. He did the cover for More Fun, and then he also did a small black and white ad, that actually that did have the Checker Demon in it.
Whoa. Cool. All right. That was like a little bonus
Yeah,
for you guys.
yeah, a little bonus that he threw us a bone,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. Yeah.
And was that the reason why, say for instance, when you got to getting the artist for the cover work for Maddest Stories Ever Told, you chose a different artist to go with because of the interpretation that you were trying to get out of the first
Um,
one?
no, I'm not. I honestly I don't remember how we ended up connecting with. It was Jeff Gaither who did the Maddest Stories. It was Jeff Gaither, and then he worked in collaboration with another artist, who's no longer with us, by the name of R.K. Sloan.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
maybe Jeff remembers. I mean, maybe I'll need to ask him, because he's been doing some stuff for us lately. I'll have to ask him how we ended up really actually
Wow.
connecting back then, because I honestly don't remember.
And I bel
And as far as the switching of artists, I mean, that's just I think we just kind of started to do that. We've worked with all of these different people, and sometimes it seems like maybe it's like too much, and if you just stuck with if you just stuck like the DRI, you just stuck with the same guy, and then that was it. But I don't know, it's just always seems to more fresh,
it
to
does.
have something new all the
Yeah,
time.
to experiment with different artists and seeing their interpretations of March of Splatterhead. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very cool. Very cool.
And with the Maddest Stories record, that was the first one where we had a comic book that was supposed to be released with the record,
Wow.
and that was we were still on Combat Records at
Yeah.
that point in time, and they couldn't really they really couldn't get our vibe about the comic book and all of that, so they didn't really get it, which is too bad because that comic book turned out to be really really cool, and we did end up putting it out. Um,
They missed
yeah, there
out.
was some of the ideas and some of the things that we had were maybe like ahead of their time. I don't know.
Yeah,
That might be a little too boastful to say, but
absolutely.
and well, then they ended up dropping us from the label before we did the next record, and but
Yeah, they just weren't. I guess they weren't getting it. They weren't getting it. And so after that,
no, they weren't getting it. And sometimes with yeah, and some of these, you do these record contracts, which another thing back then, we had no idea about record contracts, and that's why so many young bands, you just see the money, that's all you
yeah,
see, and you're signing a really really terrible contract, and but with each release you were supposed to get more money.
right.
So a lot of times they just drop you, before the third record because they didn't want to pay
Didn't
out
want to pay
pay out
out.
that other advance when they could sign, probably two or three other bands for just the price of
Damn.
that one
Right,
advance.
exactly. I hear the story exactly, and it's a tough business out there, and you know it better than anybody else out there on how you got to have the right people pushing for you because otherwise you're going to be doing all the grinding yourself. All right, Blaine. Okay, so you were telling me how you had came up with the first original picture of Martha Splatterhead,
Right.
and where did that come out? Did that come out like maybe on the first 7 inch, possibly?
Well, the first one we did wasn't a 7 inch; it was a 12 inch, and that one didn't
12. Okay.
really. It just had a Martha Splatterhead song, but the cover of it was just a band photo, and
Okay.
but
All
then,
right.
then it was called the Martha Splatterhead EP. And then
Yeah.
when we did the Return of Martha Splatterhead, Tom, the original guitar player of the Accused, then he was doing some art along with the original bass player of the Accused, Chewy Batterman. So yeah, so then
Okay.
Tom did the artwork for the Return of Martha Splatterhead. Had three different releases. They had the blue cover that Tom did the art for, and that was the U.S. version that was on Subcore Records, and then it got
Okay.
licensed over in the U.K. and it was one of the first records that came out on the Earache label, and then Tom did
Killer.
did the cover for that version over there, and then
All
when we
right.
got signed to Combat, then Combat licensed it over here to be released in the U.S. and it has the same like the cover of the shirt you're wearing, and that was done
Yeah.
by somebody else. I don't know. It was the guy from Subcore Records that had that cover made.
Oh, okay. All right. Damn, man. So
Yeah,
three.
yeah,
Wow, they really got out there.
three.
That is
Yep,
super cool.
yep,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. Well, geez, following up with that release, I like that you guys would always try different things, and and every like we were just talking about on Mad Stories, no song's identical to the next one. That's why I kind of liked how I think after Psychomania, I think it's the Bag Lady, and that's got a totally
yeah,
different kind of feel to it. But I love all the riffage and the all the phrasing in your vocals going on right there. But my
yeah,
point is that you always try something different, and I like what you did on. I think it was Grinning Like an Undertaker, where you experimented with the rapper on Down and Out.
yeah,
And what was that
yeah.
rapper's name that worked with you on that one?
Those were a couple of guys. They were from the Seattle area. They were called the Peace Team Posse, and
Whoa,
um,
okay, all right,
and it's been such a long time. I can't remember. It was two of them, and I can't remember
no,
their
it's
names. I think I still
uh
I
huh.
still have their I think I still have the cassette. So yeah, I can't remember the two guys' names, but yeah, they were.
Wow.
And I can't. I'd like to think that they did do it live with us a couple of times. But shoot, I
Whoa,
can't.
okay,
I can't remember.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, then, and then after that, I think I heard you guys do something on Splatter Rock as well, where it's what is it? I want to say it's Don't You Have a Lady or Don't You Have a Woman, and
Oh, the Greenwood
that's
House of
got it.
Medicine. Yeah, where it's just kind
That's
of like
right,
some
exactly.
beats in there and a bunch of samples.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's far out.
yeah.
And who had the theme for that? Was that your idea?
We all, you know what? That record label Nasty Mix was getting ready to go under, and
Okay.
we had a pretty big advance to do that record, but there was some other stuff that was going on with the band that um, and that's why we didn't have a lot of material, because if you listen to that record is like barely 15 minutes long, and there's a lot of filler, lot of filler on that record, and that was one of the things that we did. We just wanted to get we did that. We wanted to get the money. We wanted to get the money for that. So I think we were uh, that record. I think we had an advance of maybe like $20,000 or $25,000 was our advance for that record, and
Cool.
we recorded it for like eight.
All
So
right.
we
Good.
took we took the rest. We pocketed the rest of the money, and
Right.
and then Nasty Mix, they started to go out of business, and then that's when our guitar player on that Splatter Rock record, that's before that came out, that's when Tom, the original guitar player, that's when he quit and went to go do this band called Grunt Truck, and
Okay.
we ended up getting another guy to play guitar, and his name was Andy Massey. He lives down in Texas now. Um, so
All right.
he was in a band from Seattle called Terrorist. So we had this European tour booked before Tom quit. And it's like, we couldn't bail on that. So Andy came in, and Alex and I had done some stuff with Andy. We did this little Black Sabbath tribute deal that we did with Andy, and
Cool.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
we did a video for that record, for the song 2 Hours to Sunrise, and that was with
Right.
in the video, Andy's playing guitar, and then our drummer for that record, his name was
Cool.
Devin Karakash. He quit too, and then on that video is Steve the Slayer hippie, Hanford. He was from Portland, and he was in a band called Poison Idea back at that point in time. So
Yeah.
he had actually produced that Splatter Rock record. So along with the recording budget, we also had a video budget. So another one
Yeah.
where I think any back then doing a video was it cost a lot of money. Now
Yeah.
people
Back then. Yep.
do videos on their telephone. So we got
Right.
we squeezed them for some more money, and then and that record ended up. I think it might be a collaboration of a Nasty Mix release, but then it was on Ichiban, and I believe at that point in time, I think that Ichiban, I think it was owned by Vanilla Ice, was the person
Wow.
that owned that label at that point in time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh
And
yeah.
so after that, after you finish your commitments with that last tour, is that when pretty much the Accused had called it quits? And
No,
is
we
that
did
the
after
original?
that record came out. We did two more European tours. One with while Devin was still playing drums, and then when we got back from that tour, he quit, and we got another drummer, guy by the name of Jason Austin, and
Cool.
we did another European tour with Jason and Andy. We did some West Coast and some local stuff, and after somewhere during that last European tour, we were negotiating to get signed on Century Media. Um,
Cool.
but then when we got back, Alex and I just decided we were just gonna we thought about starting something new, and
Yeah.
so we just kind of bagged on the Accused. Alex actually went on and did some other stuff, um, and then we got back together and did another reunion type deal. I think
Was that 2009 when y'all came back for
96.
the Curse? For
Yeah,
the Curse of Martha
yeah.
Splatterhead?
The first reunion was around 96, early 1997,
Oh,
and
okay. All right.
not that was we. So we brought back. We had Josh Cinder, who
Yeah.
played on the Grinning and the Straight Razor EP on Nasty Mix. He came back and played drums. Um,
And you toured on that during that
um,
time?
no, we did some local stuff. I think we may have. No, not on that one. We just did some
Not on that
local
one.
stuff. I think just some just Seattle and Portland. Um, and
Oh,
then
okay.
that didn't work out. And then we got together again, probably latter part of 2001, beginning of 2002, and we
Okay.
did yet another. We got together another time, and this time we brought on our drummer that we had named Steve Nelson,
Cool.
and we did that for a few years. We put out the Oh Martha record that we put out on our own label,
Yeah.
and there was just that happened such a long time ago. There was just some stuff that happened that shouldn't have happened, and
Oh,
and
shit.
some of that
Okay.
stuff is still affects what we're doing today,
All
unfortunately.
right.
And at that, when we did that on Martha record, we were going to get signed to Relapse,
Yeah.
which would have been
All right.
a phenomenal opportunity, and then just things were happening, and it
Shit.
didn't go that way, unfortunately.
All right.
And then we, Alex and Steve and myself, we stopped playing with the Accused, and we formed Toe Tag, and that was, man, I don't know, 17 years ago, something like that, when we formed Toe Tag.
So three out of you guys
Yeah,
joined
three out of
started
us
toe
quit.
tag. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, we
Very
worked together
cool.
before we got a bass player. We probably, because I think we stopped playing with the Accused. It was like in around August, and I think it wasn't until February that we got a bass player. So by the time we got a bass player, we probably already had I don't know, a dozen new songs um, that we had when we
Wow.
brought on our bass player. And he's the guy, Steve McVeigh, that we still play with right now. It's kind of still
Cool.
been for the past 16 or 17 years. It's been the core of myself and Alex Maggot Brain, who now plays guitar, and Steve McVeigh. Is we're the new core three. Steve Nelson was
Yeah.
still played drums with us um, for quite a few years, but he hurt his shoulder, um, and he had moved. He wasn't living in Seattle. In Seattle, there's some different islands and stuff. So we have ferries that people use to commute. So he kind of
Yeah.
lived kind of far away. So he retired from playing drums, and we went through you know a handful of different guys, and
Oh, all right. Well, thinking
yeah.
about the last time we had you guys over here at playing over here at Gators in Corpus Christi must have been
Hmm.
at least maybe 3 to 5 years ago, possibly within that
That
window.
was
And
probably either 2018, I think.
okay, maybe 2018, twenty
Yeah,
nineteen. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah.
When we did that Texas run with Anchor Watt.
Yeah, yeah. I got to catch it here in Corpus. You guys sounded great. It was a fucking badass
Yeah,
show. There were some technical issues. I remember that night,
there
but
was.
I,
Yeah. The
but I
dude did the
scored both of
guy
the.
what? Yeah, the guy
You,
didn't know how to run the PA or something, and I think
yeah, man.
it finally got worked out. Like, I can't remember if we played last or Anchor Watt played last, but I remember we finally got it dialed in, near the end of the set. And then there was that whatever that first band was, where the guy came out in his underwear and he had a hood on, and they were kind of a portly guy. They were kind of goofy.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember. I can't think of their name, dude. I think they came on before another band that's popular around here called Drastic Actions that played that night too.
Yeah,
But yeah, man, that was something else.
yeah.
That was something. So, who was on? Who was your back? Those was that the toe tag lineup backing you up as the QZAD that night?
Yeah, we're the same band. Toe Tag and
Awesome, awesome.
yeah, it's the same band. The only difference is the Accused songs are in standard tuning, and the Toe Tag is in drop D tuning. I
Oh,
think that's the
okay.
only difference. Yeah, we're the same. Yeah, it's just the same guys. Yeah.
Killer, killer. I remember whoever was selling the merch that night turned me on to one of the toe tag patches, and it's kind of like a Green Man on it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. And then I started digging down the rabbit hole, and man, I really dig Paraquat. Paraquat, you just released that one last year?
Um, yeah, about a year and a half ago. Yeah,
Yeah, man,
and
that's
those were
cool. I
songs
really
we.
dug that, man. There's a lot of great songs on there.
Yeah, we kept during all the COVID lockdown and all that business. That didn't really that didn't do anything for us. We spent so much
Yeah,
time together. We practice at my house, so we wrote all those songs during the lockdown when we couldn't play any shows.
yeah.
Originally we
Oh
were,
shit.
because I've always been hesitant to do the digital format of music, which actually in retrospect was a bad idea. I really should have made everything available digital from the very beginning, but I was stubborn and wanted to stick to my old school ways. But
Yeah.
yeah, we recorded
Okay.
those songs, and we wanted to put them out on vinyl, but during
Yeah.
the lockdown business, there was everybody wanted to get a record pressed, and
Yes.
it was taking forever. So we
For
we
real.
slapped those up on Bandcamp, and I think it
And got
turned
it
out to
out
be a
there.
lot better because we got a whole lot more people were able to listen to the music than they would have if
Yeah.
it had just been a vinyl release.
Yeah, that's true. And
Yeah.
speaking of COVID, so you started staying busy with during COVID as well. Yeah, I started seeing you popping up on Facebook doing live shows, making cocktails.
Yeah,
And was that the beginning of the Wicker Bar?
that was the beginning of the Wicker Bar. Yeah, yeah. I started,
Yeah,
because everybody started doing these Facebook live videos. So I was doing those where I was
sure.
making cocktails, or I do some cooking as well, or I do some really
Yeah,
goofy stupid stuff. And then the
it was a
Facebook
fun
Live
show.
started. Pardon?
It was a fun show.
Oh
You
yeah,
made it
so I'm
fun.
and I'm still doing that. So then I switched it over. I didn't realize how easy it was to record something on my phone and then go, boo, who am I sharing this to? I'm going to share it to YouTube, and I'm going to create a channel. So that's yeah, and I've been
Yeah,
doing that. We don't do it as much, because my wife started working from home very, very shortly after the COVID stuff happened. And when she first started working from home, she really didn't have to really work all that much because, people were still kind of trying to figure out how that was going to work. So we
right.
were drinking a lot more in the beginning. the,
Yeah, getting
of all,
creative, right?
yeah, of all that
Yeah.
lockdown stuff. So now I do. I still try to do post a cocktail once a week, and I have to figure out. I've got the editing software on the computer. I just need to get down there and figure out how to do that. Because I want to do some more cooking videos, but I have to do it with my wife so that she can film. But if I could just do it where I just
Yeah.
I'm filming, and then I can do some editing. Uh, you know, I'm
Right.
not
You
done
can
with the
take
Wicker Bar yet. I'm still going.
good, good. So speaking of the Wicker Bar, and the history of it so far, I know that you got a book. Has the book come out, or is it fixing to?
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
regards
It's
to,
out. Yeah, yeah,
oh man, awesome, awesome. I'd caught an earlier interview of yours, and you were talking about how the book was coming together, and how you got all these other how you collaborated with other artists to get some
yeah,
great drink ideas together. And
yeah, yeah.
well, give me some of those drink names, man, because I think you were going for like some dark, wicked kind of titles, right?
It was yeah, and they're all for the most part they're all classic, like cocktails that are from the 30s and the 40s. Um,
Cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
I the Little Devil, yeah, El Diablo, the red red devil, uh, Frankenjack, uh,
Yeah.
uh, a bunch of versions of the zombie, which is a classic cocktail, a bunch of versions of another classic cocktail called the Corpse Reviver. Um,
Yeah. How
yeah,
cool,
I've got it.
man.
And
Is that
it
available?
was just it's just the same deal when I did the Wicker Bar, and I wanted, and somebody said we need to put out a book. It's like it's the same thing about being in a band. It's like I'm gonna put out a book. I know all of these artists. I contacted them.
Yeah.
Asked if they wanted to be involved, and everybody did. There's a few people I had to pay because That's how they work. But most everybody
Right.
just did it for free, and everybody got copies of the book. And it wasn't,
Very cool.
it's not something to make money. It's just like, you know, I'm just
No, man, that's super
involved.
cool. It's something you're
Hey,
good at. It's
yeah,
something you're good at, and it
yeah.
need to be shared. And like a fan of yours like myself, can I find it on Amazon? Is
You
it on?
can
Is it?
if you go to the toe tag
Oh,
Bandcamp
great. Okay.
site, and I'll
Awesome.
send you a copy. Just
Wow, man, that
message
would
me
be
over
great.
with your address. Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right, killer.
yeah.
And hearing more about your cooking, um, I know you have a burger place, and
We well, actually we don't have the restaurant anymore. We had to close. We had to close down during
no
the summer.
kidding.
Yeah.
Damn. Oh, was it just times have been tough and
Um,
inflation, prices going
there
up?
was there all of those factors, and we'd actually been trying to sell the business, and
Okay.
we were working with a business broker, and there was just the landlord. The landlord was blocking us from selling the business, and I was really, it's it's fairly stressful, even though I didn't actually I no longer worked in the restaurant, like in the
All
kitchen.
right.
I stopped doing
Yeah.
that a few years ago, so I more had the owner role. Um, but I was
Okay.
just it was just causing me too much stress, so that's why we wanted to sell it. And there was just some
Yeah.
things, if we were going to keep the business open, there was some things that we needed to do, um, to bring to inject some new life into it, and I didn't have the energy, to do it. And when the
Right.
landlord, they just kept blocking us, blocking our sale at every step. And we had a
Damn.
guy that was ready to buy, but the landlord, they weren't working with him. So it's just we just made the decision. It's like, we're done. Um,
Yeah.
it was a drag for our employees, because we really only gave everybody, just about 2 weeks notice. Um,
Damn. Yeah.
but
That's
it's
tough. And how
it's
long
just
did the business? How long did you have the business going?
we were 14 years.
14
Yeah.
years, and I heard you had the best burgers there in Seattle. That's a freaking
That's what
shame.
people said. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. I wish I would have made it up there to be able to catch it before then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
my day job is working in food service. I'm a supervisor at the student center in the university here at Texas A&M, and I've been in food service for 30 years. I've been the general manager at one time, and I've worn every hat that there is in a kitchen, and one except for the owner. And I
Yeah.
can just imagine the kind of headaches and nightmares that the owner's got to put up with as well, because there's so much stress involved when you're trying to be that business operator. When you're taking care of your employees, you feel that loyalty to them.
Yeah.
You want to do things a certain way to brand yourself, and there's some tough decisions that's got to be made during all that. And sometimes you're not going to be in everybody's favorable eye, but to make those kind of decisions is what's going to keep you afloat.
Yeah.
And I can. How did you pair during COVID? How did your business do during that time?
We actually did okay. The first
Great,
year,
good.
yeah, 2020, we still did okay. And then, they kept, there was a lot of extra rules that the system placed on you. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
every morning you had to temperature check everybody, and keep a log,
right.
and all this other bullshit. But
Yeah,
the first year, we had to trim our hours down, because there wasn't any indoor seating. And our space
yeah,
was pretty big. We had seating for 45 people. So
great.
when you have to no longer have seating, you're still paying for all of that space.
Right.
But it's
Yeah. What an
it's
overhead.
not getting used. So the first year went okay, but then, I'm sure that you're aware, it just started to get really, really hard, to get
Yeah.
certain things, like latex or vinyl gloves. The price of
Right.
those, something that at one point was $35 for a box. Now it was 125 or 145, and that's even if I could get it.
Right.
Or some
Yeah.
places I could buy one box of 100 gloves a day, and I'm going, dude,
Yeah.
it's like I go through that in a half a day.
Right.
Yeah, I just
exactly.
it
Yeah,
really it got to the point
very
where some
tough.
stuff I was ordering off of Amazon because I
Wow.
couldn't get it at the normal places that I would shop for the
Yeah,
restaurant. And then,
right.
I think as you got into the second year, that's when the prices of some stuff just like doubled or tripled.
Ooh,
If you're using,
yes,
fryer oil, went from what was at sometimes at the low end $19 a box,
a bucket.
maybe
Yeah,
22, 25, then it went up to 45 or 50, or mayonnaise, and it was
yeah.
just, there was a
One
huge
commodity
percentage of
after
the
another,
products
just
that
making it really tough.
yeah. So,
Ah,
and then, just, hiring people.
yeah.
Sometimes the
That was
younger
always a
people,
challenge. That's right. Who's
yeah,
coming back to work? Right.
right. Younger people, the work ethic is, is a little bit different than, people that are, from a little bit older.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So we had to work with that, and
yeah.
it's those obstacles still exist today, and
Hmm.
it's a shame that the business had to go. That you called it quits, but
Yeah.
sometimes that's one that I'm sure you could sleep a little bit better at night now.
Oh,
Not knowing
oh,
that
oh,
that's on your shoulders anymore, right?
yeah.
Goodness.
No, it was no, I had to start going to therapy. It
Oh
was,
man.
yeah. Oh no, it was like, yeah, it was beating me down.
Beating you down. I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it. And, you're trying to do things right, and they make it very hard
yeah,
to do things right and to keep it on the up and up. And anyway, things kind of run their course, and it's an awesome feeling to know that hey, you had the best burger running in Seattle. And you've got so many different talents, so I'm sure that cooking show is really going to be going off. And is there a particular kind of style of cooking that you favor that you want to be showing off during your show?
I I just do just a little bit of everything. I think what
Great.
I just like to show that you can do it at home, and it gets so
Yeah,
expensive now to go out.
for real.
If you go
Yeah,
out, just to go out for breakfast. I mean, I don't know how it is down there, but up here you're gonna pay 12 or $14 just for a regular two-egg breakfast. You know,
damn.
um,
Yeah. Over
yeah.
here it's about 8 to
No, I
10
just
bucks. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, I just like to just show people that you can cook at home.
Yeah.
It's easy. Don't, yeah, don't be scared. I guess, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, and put and have fun doing it and showing them,
And
that
yeah,
it's a doing it at home is not only going to be cost effective, but hey, you can really have some fun doing it and get your spouse involved and
yeah, totally.
make
Yeah,
a real show of your own afterwards. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's a
After
lot more
mimicking what they see
satisfying.
on your show.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, so is Toe Tag staying busy up there in Seattle?
We've been writing new material. That's what we're doing. We just keep getting asked. People want us to play, those old accused songs, and
Yeah, hell yeah.
we were gonna be done. We did a couple of shows with DRI in October of 2021, and then that was going to be it. We were gonna just only do the toe tag stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but then we got asked to play this festival called the Northwest Terror Fest, and they wanted us to learn that Return of Martha Splatterhead record. So
Oh
we
wow.
took a couple of weeks to think about it, and then it's like, okay, I guess we're gonna keep doing these accused songs. And that's we haven't we did we've really only done just a couple of toe tag shows um, since shows started back up in whatever the summer of 2021 or whenever that was. Um,
Yeah. All right.
but I've been pushed. We played last night, and there's some guys that were there. It's like, you guys need to do some toe tag shows, man. We want to hear that material. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna work on getting some toe tag things booked up here.
Cool. Where are the places to play at up there for you guys?
Well, there's a place that we played at last night here in Seattle that's called the Bar House, and it's run
Bar
by a
house,
guy
huh?
named Michael Freiberger, and he
Yeah.
has a record label called Satanic Royalty, and he also has a
Cool.
band called Death Cave. So that's a place.
All
Unfortunately,
right.
the bar's going to stay open, but they're going to stop doing shows here in like a month. Bar House is one of the bigger places called the El Corazon, and
Okay.
that's a big room. And then attached to the El Corazon is a place called the Fun House.
Yeah.
Um, there's that, and then you go down, a little bit south of Seattle is a city called Tacoma. Down there,
Tacoma.
you
All
play in a
right.
place called the Plaid Pig or the Valley, Jazz Bones. You go a little
Yeah.
bit
Where's your favorite
farther.
place to play over there in your area? Where's your favorite place?
Anywhere where people show up. We
I
played.
dig
We
it.
played. Because now that we've been doing it, it's kind of weird how things have turned. Like maybe like over the past 18 months that we're for some reason the younger guys they've discovered the accused or something. I don't really know what it is. So we've been you know we've been asked to play with these younger metal bands, which is really great for us. They think it's great we get to play with you guys,
Yeah.
but really you guys are doing more for us than you think that we're doing for you. I mean, you're kind of like you're inviting us into your world that we ordinarily we wouldn't be able to get into. So Friday night we played in a city called Bellingham, and that's about an hour and a half north of Seattle. It's right at the Seattle, U.S. Canadian border, and it was a
Okay.
total all ages show. And it was like this arts. It was called the makeshift art space, and they have a little art gallery upstairs, and they have jam rooms. It's kind of like a co-op kind of collective type of a deal. And
All right.
no, it was nothing but kids. There was a few older guys there, maybe a dozen tops, but the rest it
That's
was all
it.
high school
Okay.
kids, and it was fucking
Wow.
killer. You know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of stuff that we really embrace. We don't, because we're not doing this for money. That's not what it is. It's just we want to play to a we want to play to an appreciative and energetic audience. And
Hell
it's
yeah.
and getting to play with these younger guys. It's where we get to bring, because we're all considerably older than somebody who's 15 or 17.
Some of
You
yeah,
know,
right.
it,
Yeah.
it's really good. I I think in some respects it's good to show the young guys, that you can still be doing it, and then when
Yeah.
they look at us, I don't need to say how old we are, but then to look at us and it's like, these guys are still doing it, and of course I'm not 25 anymore, so I can't do the stuff I did when I was 25 or even when I was 30. But these guys are
Sure.
still, their heart is still in it. And they are still trying
Yeah.
to shred as hard as they can.
Yes, yes, and I feel that there's a lot of appreciation because I've been doing gigs here in town for since '86 when I first started out on drums, and doing all these I've been in a couple of bands for like 10 years in this one, and so people know me throughout the years, and I freak out when they say, "Man, I saw you when I was 13, and you really inspired me to start playing." And so right now, I'm in that grateful stage of life where I'm able to play the crowds. With the
Yeah,
more younger they are, the better because
yeah,
you know, uh, those that's how I was. I was that kid that was out there at 13, 14, 15, looking for that next favorite band that I wanted to get into. And so I know that fire that it's not about the money. It's just, hey, I want to get out there and show them and put on a show. It's
yeah,
still
yeah,
what's in our heart, performing.
yeah,
And yeah, we
yeah,
may not be able to jump and catch the same amount of air that we did back in the day, but the heart and the fire and the fury is still alive. And it
yeah,
really comes out when you see that kind of crowd, getting fired up and enjoying the jams that for a lot of them are probably first time listeners. And now
yeah,
after that, they're like, wow, these guys kick ass. And
yeah,
that now they got every reason to go down their favorite music platform and dig deep and follow you guys and keep showing up at the next shows, next
yeah,
time
yeah.
you're throwing down. It's
Yeah, it's good
great.
for us, because you really get to feed off of that. And then the young people now, obviously, they have the advantage that, we didn't have, that you do some of these things, and like there's these young kids and they're singing along, or they know the songs
Yeah.
because you can go on YouTube, you
And
know,
catch it.
and
Yeah.
catch it. Everything is on. And you going to YouTube now is like, when I was younger, like I'd go to the library and you could check out
Yeah.
records,
Right.
and it's just the same, yeah, it's the
Exactly the
kind
same
of a
thing. It's at
deal.
the touch of your fingers. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. They've got so many advantages nowadays,
yeah, yeah.
and more power to them. More
Oh,
power to
totally.
them.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
we had our struggles. We had like you mentioned, Maximum Rock and Roll was one of our connections and our way of networking back in the days,
yep,
and getting cassettes from Texas to California to New York and everywhere around.
yep,
And luckily, there was some great fanzines out there that supported, the underground movement and the scenes, whether it's hardcore or punk
yep.
or whatever was going on, and gave us, opportunities to get out there and do all that shit. And doing it yourself, you create that pride that you really look forward to that next show, where you can just lose your mind on stage and throw them everything you
Yeah,
got.
yeah,
And
yeah.
when I mentioned that I saw you guys play at the Cameo Theater, it must have been on Grinning Like an Undertaker tour. And like I mentioned, man, your intensity and your ferocity on stage, getting across from side to side, catching air, jumping off the drum riser, uh, headbanging all the way through, and just really losing yourself on stage is what inspires me to try and follow in those same kind of footsteps. And that's why I encourage the other guys that ask me, hey, can you give me any advice? I say, lose yourself, learn all your lyrics, do all your homework at the practice, and when it comes to the show, lose yourself on stage. And catching you guys at the Cameo back then was like at the moment of it was like a dream come true, because I had followed you guys for years already, and then to finally catch you guys here in Texas, it was worth making the trip from Corpus to San Antonio. And it was a hell of a show, and ever since I seen your live presence, it's really inspired me, uh, as a
Thank you.
singer and as a performer on stage. And I'm sure you've touched so many other artists like myself to continue in those kind of footsteps. And I like doing those high pitched screams, and you kind of had a nice blend of everything, and your voice, it sounded like a fucking monster. And that's what I loved about it. I love the way you even had those sing along songs, like at the end of Maddest Stories Ever Told, where everybody's kind of humming along to it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so much fun shit. And I dug it. And the bass lines that would start like in Psychomania, and the breakdowns where you have that mosh pit rhythm coming in the middle of certain parts. I think it's like Scared to Death.
Yeah,
That second half of Scared to Death, I think you even have is there a girl vocalist that comes in and sings that,
yeah. No,
or it
Scared of the Dark has the
Scared of the
girl. Yeah,
Dark?
the girl vocal in there.
Yeah, it really changes, the mood of the song right there. But man, I love it. It sounds fucking great, and then it comes
Yeah,
back to the heaviness that you with the first riffs of the song. And man, just real classics, and I love to put it out there on social media so people can keep sharing that. But I did want to ask you, on Spotify, which is my platform of choice. Not all your material is on there, and why is that? How come we can't find like Meta Stories on a platform?
that I do not know.
All right.
That kind of goes back to some of those problems that we had with doing the accused. Um,
Okay.
so
All right.
it's really,
I get it.
it's like,
All right.
I could talk about it, and I could say some things, but I mean, the
It's
stuff
not
that's
worth it.
happened,
I get it.
yeah, the
It's
stuff
done. It's
that
done.
happened, it's never going to be, it's never, there's never going to be a resolution. There's
Okay.
never going to be a meeting of the minds. It's just, it's the way it is.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that
Hmm.
it's like that, but
We're
we
moving
just
on. Yep.
we're moving on. And we do these accused songs. We call ourselves the accused AD, because we're not the accused. And I know that for Alex and myself, um,
Yeah.
there will never, somebody can say that they're the accused, but it's never going to be the same. And
I get it.
I
Yeah.
think it's fair to say that what we're doing is as close, um, as you're going to get
Fuck
to it.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've been doing
And
this. We've been calling ourselves the accused AD since around the end of 2016.
okay.
2017 is when we because we did these we did the accused songs earlier on, and we called ourselves Martha's Revenge. And because
Okay.
people wanted us to play the songs, It's not like
Yeah.
we're doing it like to cash in or do this that or the other.
Yeah. They
We
wanted it.
wouldn't if
Yeah.
people didn't want us to do the songs. We wouldn't take the time to learn them. And that's but
Right.
people have wanted us to do it, and that's why we do it.
Oh, hell yeah. So let me get to one other thing. I wanted to find out, are you a collector of anything? Do you have like action figures, vinyls, or
For
souvenirs over the years?
many many years, I collected toys, and I
Okay.
did toy auctions and toy shows and all of that.
Wow.
For many years, I also collected 16 millimeter film. I had
Okay.
a huge
Far out.
I had a huge collection of cartoons. I had some old TV shows, and I also had a really great collection of wrestling
Whoa.
TV shows from like the 50s and the 60s. But
Wow.
unfortunately, as I'm able to collect stuff because I have extra money.
Okay.
But then as times dictate and I need extra money for something, had to sell my collections over the years.
You might have to
So I've
part with
sold
some
my
things.
yeah, I've sold my I sold my film collection. I've sold most of my toy collection. I do have toy guns are kind of what I like. So I do have
Cool.
a modest collection of toy guns. I have a modest collection of vintage Halloween related stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the stuff the
Very
stuff that
cool.
I like, that
Yeah.
from my memories from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's just I where I'm at in my life, I'm never going to have that kind of disposable income where I can justify buying a $500 or $1,000 toy. Um,
Yeah.
really,
I
my wife
feel you.
doesn't. Yeah, my wife doesn't give a shit about. It's gonna. I don't really. I know a couple of guys that still collect toys, but nobody else cares about but me. Um,
I
and
feel
I
you,
still,
man. And yeah.
yeah, I still
Oh,
collect records. I
great.
did just get a new job, so I started a new job last week. So I'm gonna start having a little bit of disposable income because I haven't worked since the
Okay.
restaurant closed, and
All right.
I have some savings, but I'm not going to use my savings. My wife is working, but it's not really fair in our relationship for me to just be fucking around all day buying records and drinking and
Of
smoking
course
weed and
not.
watching TV. That's just not
Yeah,
fair.
I
So
know. Yeah.
that's not what I've been doing. But now that I've got a job, I'll be able to get a record, every month or so.
Hey, I'm feeling you exactly, and that's the way I
Yeah.
am too. My wife does very well. She does very well at her profession, and but for me, my heart's in my music, and that's why I got this day job working in food service, and it's been very, it's been the right fit for me. I'm off on weekends. I'm doing gigs on weekend nights and rehearsals during the week, and doing podcasts as well. So it's the right fit, and I know exactly what you mean. Everything's got to go through my wife. So if there's any kind of real purchase that I need to make, it's got to go through her okay. And the savings is off limits. It's
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that's there for a rainy day. And
Right.
we need it. And I've been in that predicament where, my daughter wrecks her car, and next thing you know, she needs a vehicle, and we need to help her out, and shit
Yeah.
happens. So.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up, I like to do a segment with my interviews called Draw the Line. So I'm going to ask you some questions real quick, Blaine, about what's your favorite out of some different topics that I think you're going to have a lot of expertise in. All right?
Okay. I'll do
Okay.
my best.
So the first one we're going to get into, we're going to start off with some bands, and you tell me who you favor more out of these two. Dead Kennedys versus the Circle Jerks.
I'd have to say the Dead Kennedys.
Okay, and after our interview, I can understand why you would favor them, especially with Jello being, the great ambassador and supporter of underground music, and I'm trying to think,
Although
Morris.
I do like the stuff that Keith Morris has done. I liked, they were doing their Black Flag tribute thing called Flag, and
Yeah,
I like the thing that he's doing now called Off. I don't
yeah,
care so much for their new record. I do like the other ones, and I did see Off play. They played up here in Seattle about 2 months ago, and they played with
okay,
this band from LA called Zulu. And if you
All
haven't
right.
checked them out, they're a bunch of young black kids. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they're a grindcore band, and they've got some samples, but
Killer.
they're fucking ferocious. And when you see them, you're not thinking that that's when they got on stage. I'm not, I you know,
You weren't expecting
optically,
that
I'm
to
not
come out
thinking
of it.
this is not what they're going to do musically. And then I've seen them play. It's like, oh yeah, these kids they really throw down. So that's my
I'm gonna
plug for
look them
Zulu.
up. Zulu, cool.
Zulu, yeah,
All right.
they're on
Yeah.
YouTube. Check them out.
Okay,
All
definitely.
right.
Out of the, was there anybody in the mix, real quick, before I move on? That was in that early punk rock scene. With you jamming with like in the circles of Ron Reyes and Keith Morris and Jello. Was there anybody that just was a real asshole that wasn't cooperative with the other guys in the scene?
Uh,
Anybody stand out like
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. That happened. I think that
Okay.
happened like a little bit later on, with the accused. And I'm not going to mention any names because it really doesn't matter because probably actually,
Okay.
the
Okay.
guys in the band are probably actually really, really, really cool. But I mean, there just gets to be when you're on tour and you've got managers and you've got a road manager or something, they're really the ones that are speaking for you. So,
Okay.
there was some things that were done to us that were, probably not
Crappy.
necessarily,
Yeah.
the band's doing, but yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to the next two. Thinking about the crossover movement that you were a part of, but definitely in your own lane. What do you think about who do you favor between Stormtroopers of Death and Cryptic Slaughter?
Um, I'm gonna probably go with the SOD. I
Okay.
like,
All
yeah,
right.
I like they
Did you
were a
ever
little
meet any
little
of
bit
those
more
guys?
more metallic. I can appreciate Cryptic Slaughter. I was never, even with some of the stuff that's going on now, these different levels of grindcore or the blast beat thing. It's just like I know that Scott Peterson from Cryptic Slaughter pretty much came up with that blast beat. To me, it kind of sounds a little the drumming just sounds a little thin. Um,
Okay.
we did get a chance to play. We played Maryland Death Fest in 20 2019, I think, and we played with Low Life, and that was before they got the permission to go ahead and call themselves Cryptic Slaughter. Um,
I remember Low Life. That's right.
yeah,
Okay.
so now they're back to being Cryptic Slaughter, and that was,
All
I
right.
think, if I'm thinking about it from what my perspective is back when those records came out. I think now I have more of an appreciation for Cryptic Slaughter now than I did
Okay.
than I did back then.
Yeah. But SOD, just like you said, they're a little bit more metallic right there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
definitely kind of along the veins of what you were doing. And when I think about the drumming that the Accused had, um, man, you had fast drummers. You had some
yeah.
fucking fast drummers. I bet it wasn't easy to getting the right guy to take care of your drums, right?
No, we needed
Did
we,
you?
we always look for guys that can play like a real straight beat because there's
Yeah,
there's the other there's the other fast beat where it's kind of like a cheater beat. You're kind of like missing. You're not. It's just not a straight beat. We called it the cheater
yeah,
beat, and that's what
yeah.
when we got Josh Cinder to play with us, and so we wanted to know what it was that we were looking for, and we said, well, we need, you know he basically called it real drumming. It's like, well, I mean, I guess, it's like, yeah, we need
Ah,
we need somebody that can play a fast, straight
yeah.
beat, not the cheater beat.
Hell yeah. Every album that I've heard, man, it just kick ass drumming from the Accusers. And me, I starting out on drums, it was really inspiring, but at the same time intimidating because it was like shit, kind of keeping up with that pace throughout, 3 or 4 minute song,
Oh yeah,
wasn't
drumming.
easy.
Yeah,
Wasn't
that's a
easy. It
that's
was
a tough
freaking
job,
hard.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, big time, big time. Well, let's go move on to another subject. All right,
Okay, there we are.
there we are, man. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right.
Okay,
That's all right.
okay.
But
So
yeah,
yeah,
and then with the Star Wars, it's just I don't know, they just keep doing it, and for me, I'm not part of it. It ends up being it's this whole new world that you have to immerse yourself into, and if you're watching one thing now, it connects with something else. It connects with something else. They create all this other all this other backstory and history
Right.
and all this other character development that you wouldn't have that you wouldn't have thought of. Like I've watched,
Right.
I think I watched like the first season of The Mandalorian, and that was entertaining. But then I watch more of it, and it's like, I don't know, it's just too much for me.
I get it. I know what you mean. And,
So
but
I'm on the fence between the two of them.
oh, okay. All right. All right. I get it. I get it. Well, let's move on to some choices when it comes to producing some burgers. So, I'm not too sure how you produce them there at the Giant Burger, but do you prefer charbroiled or a flat top burger?
We did charbroiling because when we moved into our first location, that's what was there. As far as
Okay.
equipment, there was a 48-inch charbroiler. There was a four burner gas cooktop thing, and then there was a fryer. So
Okay.
we started off with charbroiling, and the thing that we did that was unique that nobody else was doing is we used 100% chuck. We'd get a chuck roll and we'd grind it, and then
Chuck.
that's it. So we
Yeah.
ground our meat and hand form the patties every day.
Very cool.
That was our signature deal. In
Yeah.
retrospect, the biggest problem with the charbroiler is it's really messy and
Right.
it's really hard to keep clean.
Yeah.
If I was to have started doing a burger thing right now, I would do a flat top. It's because
Okay.
it's
It
a lot
seems
cleaner. Doesn't make as much of a mess, and it's a lot more manageable than the charbroiler is.
it's spoken like a professional. You know how it goes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, thinking of that, we mentioned you're using chuck. So, do you prefer a ground chuck or do you also, well, between the two, is it ground chuck or do you go for a good plant-based burger?
We at the restaurant we had when we first opened, we had some friends that were vegetarians, and they said, we'll come to your restaurant, but we're not going to come and get a garden burger or a boca burger from you guys because we can make it at home. So my wife
Right.
developed a recipe for a black bean and mushroom burger, and that was
Whoa.
the veggie burger that we served. Um,
Wow.
I me personally, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stick around more in into a garden burger, boca burger, something that you can make yourself. I think a lot of this fake meat that they're coming up with. I think if you really look at what it's made out of, I it's just you're replacing one thing, which is basically a natural product, whether you want to eat meat or not, that's up to you, and you're replacing it with something that's basically just another processed food. Um,
Right. Yeah.
so if I'm gonna eat meat, I'm gonna eat meat. I don't know that I want to eat something that's made out of a bunch of weird shit that looks like a burger, bleeds like a burger, but it's not.
Right.
That's kind of where I'm in, like where I'm in my cooking here. And that was we had another friend that was a vegetarian as well, and he's going, no, I want to embrace eating. I want to embrace eating vegetables and grains and legumes and all of that stuff. I don't want to replace something that's a vegetable because it looks or tastes like meat. That's not what I want to do. I want to enjoy the taste of vegetables. Um,
Yes.
and I think
I,
people, for me personally, because I think now we're on all this vegan and all this business. It used to
yeah.
be you were just a vegetarian,
Right.
or and so many people that that are vegan. There's definitely people that stick with it forever and that's their thing. But other people, they just get so righteous about it and they do it for a couple of years and then they slide back. I'm very much into Julia Child had a thing that she said, and it was all about moderation. And
Right.
it's just a little bit, little bit of everything. It's like
Yeah.
if we cook a steak here at home, we get a nice piece of meat. We might
Yeah.
get an inch thick ribeye, might weigh a pound,
Mm.
might cost $49 for that one steak, but that's going to be enough for both my wife and I, and there's probably going to be leftovers. But it's a quality thing, and you don't do it.
Yes.
We don't eat
Yeah.
we don't eat red meat. maybe once a month, once every couple of months. We do chicken. I think we do chicken more like right now.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, we were doing fish probably about five days out of the week.
Whoa,
But it got to
okay.
be really really expensive. Fish
Right, seafood, yeah.
fish
Yeah,
fish seafood is costs as much as like a real high quality beef.
for real. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Where I'm at with that. Yeah, I'm doing garden
Okay.
burger. Or they've had these fake chicken nuggets. Some of the stuff they've had for years. It's been
Yeah.
around. It's been around for forever. So it's nothing. That's that's where I'm at.
I get you, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. Um,
A real burger.
real burger. I
Get
hear you.
yourself get yourself a grinder at home and just go to the store. Get a piece of chuck and just cut it up to strips and run it through your grinder. It's gonna be the best burger ever.
There you go. That's right. Good advice right there. Now, moving on to another area of your expertise. How about these two? Tequila versus vodka.
I'm gonna go tequila. We don't really use that much vodka anymore. We,
Okay.
we used to.
Yeah.
I like the anejo or the res, my my tongue gets tied when I'm trying to pronounce things in Spanish. But I don't like brown tequila, and I think a lot of people when they're younger they've had some bad experiences with straight shotting a fifth of brown Pancho Villa,
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
you get you
Yeah,
never
right.
seem to you never seem to get that taste, or it just sticks with you. And
Brutal.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think now, more, yeah, definitely more tequila,
All right.
than vodka.
All right. And what's your preference between whiskey and rum?
Um, I like to drink bourbon, just neat, rum. There's so many different kinds of rum, and this is something that I've learned about doing the Wicker Bar, because I've been able to connect with other people that are into the cocktail world. And I do have a friend of mine by the name of Steve Holitz, and uh, he does a podcast as well called Bone Bat, and he also does a film festival up here called the Bone Bat Comedy of Horrors Film Fest. But he's
Wow.
kind of got me into the whole tiki world, and there's like 30 or 40 different kinds of rum, and they all play a part in your cocktail mixing, if you're mixing tiki
Killer.
drinks or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Uh,
yeah.
what a science it is right there. It really is when you start breaking it down. Um,
It is, yeah. And there
it,
was a lot of these guys that were doing that original tiki stuff. They kept little notebooks, and they didn't share. Those were their recipes, and they didn't share that stuff with anybody else.
yeah, I can imagine. It's proprietary.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
you put the work into to getting those recipes down, and it's fun kind of experimenting, but at the same time, that's your baby, and it's something to be very proud of right there. I'm
yeah.
anxious to get my hands on
And
the cookbook so I can do some of these drinks over here for my
yeah,
wife.
making the cocktails, it's very much like cooking. And that's how,
Yeah,
when we first started doing the show, we looked on our bookshelf, and it's like, oh, we've got all of these cocktail books. And then you look at the recipes, it's like, oh, whatever, that looks just disgusting. I'm not going to drink that. And then you make some of these drinks, it's like, oh my God, it's absolutely delicious. So
yeah,
there's more to cocktails than just, a rum and Coke, or a, Jack and Coke, or a gin and tonic. I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah.
It is right.
Yeah.
There's so much to it. It's a whole nother
Yeah.
language
It
to
is a
that
whole other
extent too.
language. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me move on to one more other thing in the spirit world. Do you prefer wine or liquor?
Did you say wine or liquor?
Yeah.
I'm equal opportunity drinker. Um,
All right.
some evenings we like to start the evening off with a cocktail, and then we, like to drink wine, wine with our dinner. Um,
Okay.
and then it just depends on what kind of wine we, there's a couple that we, I guess you just basically call a table wine, because there's
Sure.
parts, places in Europe where people drink wine every day, and it's just
Yeah.
It's just wine. There's nothing special about it. And then occasionally, we'll get a nice bottle of red wine, that goes for a
Mm-hmm.
nice dinner. I'm
Yeah.
equal opportunity drinker is where I'm at with
Got it.
that.
Very cool. Exactly. Very well spoken in regards to especially in your history and your expertise in the alcohol world right there. Now I'm going to move to a different field, and it's going to be
Okay.
about horror movies. And I'm just making an assumption that you probably dig horror movies, considering the background of the gore and the horror and the different topics that you cover in some of your lyrics. Would I be fair to say yeah, you dig horror?
I do. I would have to say that I don't watch as many now as I did in the past.
Yeah,
And I think and one of the other things with watching them now is, there's all these streaming services and stuff, so it's not
yep,
sometimes what you're watching is not like as deliberate, and I'm not paying as much attention to it as I would have years ago.
right. I know
Yeah,
what you
so no, I
mean.
definitely and I like, I like to read books as well. So, I do like, horror novels as well.
Cool. Well, I'm going to give you three choices here, and this is going to be the last question I got for you in the draw the line. Now, out of these three movies, tell me which one you favor. Out of The
Okay.
Exorcist, Halloween, or The Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
I'm gonna have to say The Exorcist for
Yeah, all right.
yeah. I had,
You-
that came out, I remember when that came out when I was a kid, and they were talking about how scary it was, and people were running out and puking, and there was like this whole hubbub about it. And
right,
it was one of those movies that, I didn't get to see until many years after it came out. Just like The Night of the Living Dead, I only
right.
heard about that. I never,
Me
because
too.
this was before VHS, and the only way you'd see something was at the theater. And it was many, many years after that movie came out, before I actually saw it. And I did, obviously, was able to, see The Exorcist on VHS. And then when they did, I can't even remember what anniversary it was for that movie, but
With the
was it the
extra
30th
scenes.
anniversary or something, where they re-released it, and then it had some extra footage. And one
Yeah,
of them was
the
Linda
spider.
Blair was doing that crab walk down the
Oh, that's right.
stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah. The Exorcist, horrifying. One that I did get to see in the theater when I was younger was the Omen.
Oh,
So I thought,
yeah. Gregory
the
Peck.
first version of the
Yeah.
Omen, that was pretty sinister as well.
It really was, already a movie about a kid that was going to grow up to be the Antichrist. And,
Yeah,
as far as that movie went, I think he was maybe 8 or 9, something like that, because the second one was when he came out with Damien Omen 2, and that's when he was in
yeah,
his teenage years. But
yeah,
that first
yeah,
one, already just being about him just being such a little youngster, uh,
yeah.
very cool movie. I'm glad you brought that one up.
And
That's
there
a
was
real
just,
cool one.
when the scenes in there, when the nanny hangs herself in the
Yeah.
party, or
Yes.
the truck that's carrying the plates of glass, and one of the plates comes off,
Oh,
cuts off the
yes.
guy's head. And that movie, when that movie came out, that wasn't even rated R. That was like PG or GP or whatever it used to be back
Yeah.
then. Just like,
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, there was
But
pretty good stuff in that one.
it had some pretty good little gore scenes going on right then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Blaine, that wraps up my draw the line segment right there, and I really I had a great time talking to you over the past hour and a half right here, and
Yeah,
you
thank
know
you. Yeah.
I
It was a
love.
good conversation.
Man, thank you so much, and I really just gotta let you know one more time that um, thanks for sharing this afternoon with me, because you really have been an inspiring force to me as a vocalist, and your band, The Accused, has just been one of those that whenever I put it on and in my car, I crank it up, and it always makes me feel freaking good. And that's what I love about music, and that's what I enjoy about metal, and it brings me a great joy to be able to have the singer to one of my favorite bands finally on my show. So
Well,
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate you, Blaine. How can people keep up with you on social media? Where can they find you doing like the Wicker Bar,
So
for
we're
instance?
on the Facebook, toe tag. There's toe tag on Facebook, and then also on Facebook we have it's a once again because of the weird stuff that happened. It's a group that you can join. And there's two of them. One of them is called the Lifeless Zone, and the other one is
Yeah.
called Accused After Death.
All
And
right.
those are two kind of like fan sites that you can join. You can find out when we're playing, and then if you want to buy our stuff, also splatterrock.com. We have a website. If you're really interested and you have the time, we a couple of years ago we paid a guy. I just have to throw his name out. His name is Jesse Davis. He lives down in Northern California. He digitized all of our old live VHS tapes. So we have those hosted on a website called accusedarchives.com. So you can go on there, and there's, I don't know,
Oh,
like 20 or 30 or 40 different live shows that are digitized
wow.
that are on there. And yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
Toe tag on Bandcamp. Yeah.
Yes. Awesome, man.
And just follow me on the Facebook, because I'm always posting a picture of what I'm cooking, or how many pennies I find out on my walk, or
Or the next show's coming
whoever's
up.
putting on shows, or whoever's doing something. There's a whole lot of people that are doing a whole lot of cool stuff out there, and I have the honor of being associated with a lot of people, and I can do my little bit of sharing what they're doing, and hopefully every once in a while people are gonna pick up on that, and try to support a lot, some of the stuff that's going on out there.
Absolutely. We just got to keep paying it forward. It always gets around.
Yeah,
High tide
totally,
raises all
totally.
ships. And,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Zane, Blaine. And
Thank
I, I,
you.
I appreciate you so much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And,
You too. Looks like the Eagles won. I'm sorry.
oh,
Sorry, 49ers fans.
hey, that's all good, man. Go
Yeah.
Eagles. And,
Yeah.
um, to all my listeners out there, thanks a lot for listening today. And please listen to the cues. Look them up on your favorite music platform. Make sure you're
And don't
giving them
forget
a
don't forget the
follow.
Wicker Bar on YouTube as well.
Look up the
Get
Wicker
on get
Bar
on that.
and
Yeah, yeah.
subscribe to that, please.
Subscribe
I,
to my channel. Throw me a bone.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna do my best to get my people out there on your channel out there. Blaine, once again, thanks a lot. And until next
Right
time,
on.
we'll see everybody at the
Peace.
show.
Right on, man. All right, you take it easy.